Okay, so welcome to another Lunch and Learn, where today we're talking about teacher wellness. And what a great time. March is kind of, that arduous time where things just seem to be piling up. It's between spring and winter. And so, this concept of teacher wellness and how it connects actually with being the best for your students and your students' engagement. So, what does teacher wellness have to do? Here's just a quote from Ed Week about really that strong connection. If your teacher is stressed, the students are more stressed. If the teacher is taking care of their wellness, the students feel more able to cope with things as well. And that seems like something people should realize or know, but at the same time, do we prioritize that? Having come from the field of teaching last year, we don't. We don't put in those boundaries. We don't take care of ourselves in a way that we show that we know it's affecting our students. And that's a very important piece of this is you're not just doing this for you, you're doing it for your students. And so here we know you step in the door, there's stress. There was stress before that point. But we really, instead of wanting to build a tower of our stress that is precarious and could fall at any moment, it's not about having less stress per se. It's about coping with the stress so the impact's not the same. You're not going to be able to get rid of the stressors in your classroom, in your job, in your life. This isn't just work stress. But if we can offset that and create a better balance, that's what we're talking about for this wellness. And so one of the concepts here is self-care. And I know this is a hot word. This is a word that you kind of just hear everywhere and people kind of pass it off as, oh, that's self-care. But self-care is an actual intentional thing to make you the best at what you are doing. Your mental health is your health. And so this idea of managing your stress, lowering risk of illness, stress can cause an enormous amount of physical health concerns and increase your energy level. And who couldn't use that, right? And so this idea of self-care, you have to think about the different aspects of wellness. Yes, there's physical wellness. That's the one we take care of. That's the one we have insurance for the most part. Those are the pieces that everybody's paying attention to. But socially, how's your wellness? What about your emotional and mental state? What about spiritual, intellectual, occupational, financial, environmental? And that creates this kind of map scenario of where am I healthy and where am I not? Now, obviously, for this lunch and learn, we're talking about your occupation, but you can look at all those other pieces of where are you healthiest? Where could you use some help? So this link right here, and I'll go ahead and press on it, will lead you to a resource. You can look at this in my presentation, and you can actually take some quizzes on your self-care and where are your weaknesses, because we need to know where do you need to focus your time on as far as wellness. Sometimes it's the easy pieces that we tend towards, but those aren't the things that are helping us cope with some of the harder tasks. So here, those of you that would be live, we were going to go ahead and we were going to just write some self-care strategies that you do. And this activity is intended to hone in on the fact that actually self-care activities, we kind of have two categories for the ones that can happen at home and the ones that can happen in our jobs. So one of my self-care strategies, I love to take a nice hot shower at the end of a long day. I can't do that in the middle of school. It's also not healthy though to wait and always remedy the stress at the end of my day or the end of my week. So how can we find self-care pieces that can happen during our day? Something that we can focus on, refocus, affect our stress level in the moment, because we don't want that tower to build up even until the end of the day, because we don't know at what point is that tower going to fall over. We need to be balancing that. Now, I'm not suggesting that's easy to do at all times, but the awareness helps us get there. And so I'm here to suggest, and I've I've been working in this field of trauma and stress for a few years now. I got my master's in that type of field. So there, we think of the five senses, but there are actually 8 sensory systems, and all of these get input that either reduces stress or adds to that stress. And so your smell and your vision, your taste, your touch, your hearing, but your vestibular, your proprioception, your interoception, what the heck does that mean? Knowing where you are in space, being aware of what's going on you, being able to use your muscles, activate your actual physical self, and then your emotional and what's going on inside of you, and are paying attention to your feelings, and that not to be the ushy gushy, oh, look deep inside yourself, but at the same time, yes, knowing what's going on inside of you so that you can change and shift what's going on inside of you. And so we want to make sure that we're doing things with those in mind. Maybe we want to, I'll go back to that last slide. Maybe we want to see something that really makes us happy. How many of us have pictures of our family around our desk? We do that purposefully because it makes us feel better. Maybe you like certain textures. I had a student that loved textures, so I brought in, I had a bin of textures that they could feel because certain ones were more calming. Sometimes I just stick in, I love Werther's Originals. They call me the old grandpa here, right? Those commercials. But I would stick in a Werther's and be like, I just need to change the taste in my mouth to make me reset. Maybe there's music you want to hear or certain things that you like hearing, certain smells. Be careful with that one. You don't want to you want to make sure you're not like have smell sensitivities, but you can get a diffuser that just goes on your body, like a necklace or a bracelet or different things, or maybe you just have hand cream you can smell, something that would just reset because you're activating a sense. That vestibular, knowing your surroundings, and where you are, you can be like, okay, this is not a space for me. I need to readjust. I need to figure out where in this room works best for me. That proprioception one, you need to make sure maybe you need to do some toe taps. Maybe you need to stand for a while. Maybe you need to take a walk around the building. Maybe you need to activate some muscles and get um, your muscles moving and working. And then that interoception one, you need to allow yourself to feel your feelings. Yes, sometimes they could be irrational. You can admit that. You can say that to yourself, but you need to recognize, yes, I don't like it that I'm angry, but I am angry. I don't like that I feel sad, but I feel sad. How does it feel inside my body? How might I be able to affect that? So one of these things to go with self-care is mindfulness. And it's being fully present, aware of what we are. When we have stresses, a lot of times we're not thinking about what's happening right now. We're thinking about what's going to happen or what has already happened, or we're in the middle of something that's ongoing. And so bringing yourself to the moment in time that you are right now can a lot of times just make us come back to a reality that is less stressful. So there are mindfulness activities as well, and you shouldn't be surprised, the senses have a lot to do with it. So one of the exercises is close your eyes, think of one thing you can taste, 2 things you can smell, 3 things you can feel, 4 things you can hear, and 5 things you can see. You can also do those deep breathing. This is just one of them where you trace your hand, and every time you go up on a finger, you breathe in, and when you go down, you breathe out. Here are some other mindfulness activities. This presentation is loaded with lots of different resources for that. So these mindfulness things is just shut down for a second or two, get yourself back into, can I feel where my feet are? Where are my hands? How am I feeling? Am I warm? Am I cold? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Mindfulness is paying attention to your body and your body's cues. So here are some resources. These are all clickable that you could use to support teacher wellness. I'm going to highlight this one way on the very right here, setting boundaries. Yep, I'm not great at it. I try. but that's a very important thing. Not doing something for the sake of doing something, making purposeful choice. But there are lots of other tools that we can use to support. So the one up here, SEL for me, is put out by the Maine Department of Education. There's a whole bunch of stuff for kids, but there's also an SOS section for teachers. And so if you click on these links, you will find some resources to help you explore this a little further. But one thing we don't want to do is isolate this and think I can only do that self-care and that mindfulness in the classroom when I'm alone, because that's not going to always happen. And so don't keep this to yourself. Building relationships with our students, that's what's going to help with our stress and help with their wellness and our wellness. Students have well-being as well. You'll notice those are the same pieces of the puzzle that we talked about when we were talking about your wellness. And so your students not only need that wellness, and don't think of that as another thing on your plate. Think of that as I can model wellness for my students as well. And so how can technology help? Because I am from MLTI, Maine Learning Through Technology, or Maine Learning Technology Initiative. There we go. So technology can be a really great resource for helping things like lighting and colors and fonts on your screen. Do you want dark or light contrast on your screen? The types of images you see, the spaces you're in, all of those types of things technology can help out with. There have been times where I stop everything in my classroom and say, our classroom needs a reset. I can't handle the amount of light in here right now, or I need lights on right now. This is how I'm feeling. But I'll even stop and say, right now, I need a mindfulness break. And I model doing it and help lead the kids through it too, which brings the level of the entire classroom down. So there's also some activities, just having creative time. How many of us love to do something and create something? So on the side from being a teacher, I also do a lot of baking, and I actually run a small bakery from my home, and I thought, why this outlet? Well, because that I can make something and create something quickly. That's not always true in education. That breathing, progressive relaxation, that's an enormous one where you can actually sit and think about your muscles relaxing. There's all kinds of different resources and things you can do, and technology opens the door to a lot of those things. So here are some classroom resources. These are all clickable again to give you avenues to do this wellness with your students as well. Now, your sole purpose of wellness can't be just to model to kids or just for the kids' sake. It has to be something that you are doing for yourself too. I would never ask you to, only do this for the kids' sake. That's not wellness then. But when we incorporate it into our day with our students, I have seen it make a huge difference. And I've got kids now that will say, I think, Mrs. Netzer, we need to stop right now and we need to do a breathing break. You're right, we probably do. And so having means to be able to do that and where to go from there is a very important step in this. So I just want to thank you for taking the time for watching this. I hope these resources help you. Please reach out to me. This is a passion of mine. I want to be able to support that. I'm actually currently at the school that I come from, Princeton Elementary, and we are working through sessions in wellness today. I'm going to be at another school tomorrow. We can set up sessions to support teacher wellness, give them that little break from the norm, and really support this work and make it something that flows into the classroom for the sake of the teachers, and then the overflow is the sake of our students. And I appreciate that admins really are starting to get on board with this and say, yes, the teachers need this, our students need this. So please don't hesitate to reach out, and we will communicate and talk about where you need to go next with this. So I appreciate your time, and I hope to hear from you.